Hello everybody and welcome back to another Ross Reviews, where today we are doing one of the channel's most highly requested videos, and that is on a naturally aspirated FG XR6. This particular one is a 2009 Series 1 with the 6-speed manual. Now over east, these cars are the P-Plater's choice, and they've been claimed to be a lot faster than you might expect. So today on the channel, we're gonna find out. Now the FG came out in 2008 and was carried through up until 2014. This took over from the previous B series, and I've always thought that Ford did a pretty nice job on these XR6 because they really did look quite nice. They modernized them, and I do think it's one of the better looking Falcons Ford's ever done. These XR6s as well, they were just really nice because they were cheap. They had the nice sporty body kit on them. You know, you could have got the nice wheels. These came with factory 17-inch alloys, though you could have optioned 18s or 19s if you wanted to. And overall, it was just a really good looking car. Now, to top it off, this had one of the best engines of the day also. This is, of course, the Barra 195. This is naturally aspirated, made 195 kilowatts, or about 260 horsepower, and about 288 pound-foot of torque. Look, these things are known all over Australia for being basically indestructible. They're used in the taxis. You know, you can rack up 1,000,000 Ks on these things, and they will just keep going. It's a 4-liter, it's an inline 6, and there is still a lot that can be done to enhance these. I am still yet to actually get in the driver's seat and test one of these naturally aspirated FG XR6s, but I have had a massive flood of comments and messages saying that these things will surprise me. So let's fire this thing up and see if they were correct. Now driving the FG XR6, naturally aspirated, 195 kilowatts, 260 horsepower. Look, this is a good old Aussie car, you know. This is totally factory as well, so I really am glad I could find an example like this because, as you guys know, I kind of do try and find stock examples of a lot of cars, and it's incredibly difficult most of the time. So there's usually always something on it, an exhaust or an intake or a short shifter or something. This one, completely factory, so this is really a great test to see what this thing was really like when it came out. Now, first thing that really hits me is the suspension. And look, you know, this really is boaty. You know, it moves around a hell of a lot, but it's comfortable when you're just driving. You know, it's built for the backcountry roads, and just coming around some of these tight bends, you can really kind of feel that suspension move around a bit, which, look, it's an XR6, completely stock. It's got quite a few Ks on it, so it is totally understandable. But again, you just come around this real tight hairpin here, and you know, the seats are not the most hugging either, which is, you know, in most of the Falcons here, but you know, it's not half bad just running through the gears though. You know, you really can pick up quite a bit of speed, it feels like, the more you leave your foot on the accelerator. Now, really the best thing about this car is its reliability. You know, look, the body itself can be called questionable because, you know, we all know about diff bushes. We do all know about, you know, the minute little annoyances that these Falcons can give you, you know, fairly regularly. You know, window switches, door locks, you know, again, the diff pushes are a serious one. But other than that, you know, look, if we're talking about the engine here, mate, this engine is so rock solid, it's basically bulletproof. You know, this is why it was so used as a taxi, because you just keep putting the Ks on this thing and it just does not stop. You know, you can see plenty of examples that are well over 700,000 Ks into the million Ks for cabs. You know, it really is that reliable of an engine. And especially in this setup, you know, you got the naturally aspirated bear up here, the 195 with the 6-speed Tremec. Mate, it's really a rock solid recipe right there. You know, if you know how to drive a manual well, look, this thing's gonna last you a very long time. And look here, fuel economy, it's not terrible. You know, it's claimed at about 10 liters per 100 Ks. This particular one's getting about 12. So, you know, it's not the best for a naturally aspirated 6, but again, it still is a 6-cylinder. So you can't really complain anywhere around that 10 liters. And I do have to say, I really do like the FG body style. You know, the XR body kits that got given on these Falcons, they really do look pretty nice. You know, obviously a set of coilovers, nice piece of wheels, does a lot for these cars, but straight out the bag, you know, you look back in 2008, this was a good looking car when it came out, and still is today, I think. And just running through the gears is hear a bit of sound. Look, it's a completely stock XR6 naturally aspirated bear. You know, look, it doesn't have a whole lot of sound at all, but it still does move. I will give it that. I am quite curious what the 0 to 100 is going to be in this thing, because I think it might surprise some of us. Now, from new, this thing was, you know, really affordable. I think it was about $35,000, brand new. To get an XR6 Turbo, it was like another $7,000 or $8,000 on top of that. So, you know, you saved yourself quite a bit of change getting one of these. And if crazy speed and performance wasn't your thing, look, this was a great car. I would actually say this was a more reliable car than the XR6 Turbo, and probably a smarter buy if flat out acceleration and speed was not your jam. Now, on the used market, look, these cars, again, have started to creep up a little bit due to COVID here, but right now, I had a look on car sales to get a pretty clean FG, naturally aspirated. Look, you're looking between that like $12,000 to $15,000. Now, if you go up to a Series 2, which came out from about late 2011, then they're from like, you know, $14,000, $15,000 up to maybe like $18,000. $20,000 if it's in absolute immaculate shape with low Ks. But look, I think these cars will kind of hold their value for a little while at least here, because so many people just love these things. They're proper good Aussie cars that just drive great on Aussie roads, and they're bloody reliable. So these are cars that someone could buy now, and in still another 10, 15 years, look, you're still going to have this thing out on the road, because they really do just keep going and going, and they love to be abused, these things. They really do. You do got to love this thing, though, for what it is. You know, a family car that's still quite fun to drive around, especially when you get the manual. You know, you can do some nice little mods to this thing, and it would be really, really enjoyable. And for a car that you can still fit the whole family in, get the groceries, it's reliable, cheap to buy, great on Aussie roads, it's no wonder the FG Falcon did so well. And again, just going through some of these windy back roads here, you know, it's not bad. You know, this is a 1.7 ton vehicle, so it is heavy. And, you know, these brakes are not that big because this is, you know, the base XR6 here. But, you know, it does pretty well. For what it is, it does really well. And you got to have a trade-off here for, you know, being a little bit sloppy with the suspension in the corners. It makes up for it for having a really nice, pleasant drive over some of these rougher back roads. You know, you're not getting thrown around in this thing, and it does a really good job of soaking up the road. This really is a perfect P-Platers car. You know, I think I said that with the BF as well, because these naturally aspirated Barras have enough go in them that it's not a boring car to drive. Especially when you get the manual, you know, it's really engaging. It's nice to run your own gears. It's a really easy gearbox to learn in. The clutch is soft. You know, the gears are really easy to go in and out of. It's just, you know, a perfect learner's car. It really is. And again, I would highly recommend this thing to anyone who's learning. Now, just quickly, a huge shout out to this week's Patreon supporters. If you guys want to join the Patreon, get early access to content, videos, merch, there is a link in the description, so check it out. All right, just pulling up on this back road here. We're gonna do the 0 to 100. I think this thing is claimed at like 7.5 seconds, but I would assume that is with the automatic, the 6-speed I would assume with as well. So look, we're in the manual. It's gonna be a challenge, but we'll do the best we can. So look, just chuck it into first. I'm gonna turn the AC off here, and yeah, we'll just run it. So 3, 2, 1. $100. Yeah, hey mate, look at this thing. Wow. Look, I said this thing could be a lot of fun. Wow, it was a lot of fun right there. My goodness. Pretty impressive, I must say. I don't know what the time's going to be there, but for running your own gears, naturally aspirated, you know, 1.7 ton vehicle, this thing done damn well, I think. And look, we spun the rears up a little bit, so that might have compromised our time just slightly. But at the end of the day, that was a pretty good launch, I think. Now I'm going to finish the video off here today, so a huge thank you goes out to the owner for allowing me to take out his FG XR6 here. This thing was a tremendous amount of fun for what it is, and look, again, I can highly recommend this car to anybody who wants something that is cheap, reliable, and still a bit of fun. I think this is a great learner's car, and even a great car for someone who just wants to cruise around on the back roads, because this thing does it tremendously well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something today. If so, please go ahead and hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we'll see you on that next video.